Let me share something that might be hard to hear. You're not as free as you think. You believe you're in control of your life, making your own choices, deciding what to do and what not to do. But the truth is, you're trapped. Not in a physical prison with steel bars, but in something far worse, an invisible prison built by your own mind. Think about it. That impulse you can't control, that craving you try to suppress but always comes back, whether it's alcohol, tobacco, social media, food, sex, gambling, or the need for approval, it dominates you. No matter how many times you promise yourself it's the last time, it never is. And that's what consumes you, destroys you, and turns you into a slave to your own desires. Society tells you it's because you lack willpower, that you're weak, that if you really wanted to, you could quit. But that's the biggest lie of all. Today, we're going to dismantle that lie. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists in history, said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But it's not just about what irritates us in others, it's also about what we don't understand about ourselves." Jung believed that vice isn't just a bad habit, it's a signal that something inside you isn't right, something you've been avoiding. When you turn to immediate pleasure, whether it's drinking, scrolling, or overeating, it's not because you're a bad person or weak, it's because there's a void inside you, a deep pain you can't explain. Jung called it the shadow, a part of you that chases you, and no matter how hard you try to escape, the more you run, the stronger it becomes. Vice isn't the root of the problem, it's the symptom of something much bigger. And if you think this is just about willpower, you're mistaken. Gabor Maté, one of today's most influential psychiatrists, has spent his life studying addiction. His conclusion is devastating. Vice isn't a disease of the body, it's a disease of the soul. It's a desperate attempt to silence wounds you often don't even remember. Maté argues that all addictions share a common origin, trauma. Childhood is where the pain that you later try to numb is planted. Maybe you grew up in a home without enough love. Maybe you experienced abuse, abandonment, or rejection. Maybe you learned that to be loved, you had to be perfect. Or maybe you just never felt like you mattered enough. So you sought an escape. Something to make you feel good, even if just for a moment. Something to fill that void, even if only temporarily. But here's the cruel paradox. The more you try to numb your pain with vice, the bigger it grows. It's a fire that feeds on itself. Over time, you don't even enjoy it anymore. You don't consume to feel pleasure, you consume to avoid the pain of withdrawal. Do you see the trap? You've been deceived. They made you believe the problem is you, that you're a lost cause, that you're beyond help. But the truth is different. The problem isn't you, it's what you carry inside. It's that unresolved pain. Here's the key. It's not just about understanding your pain, it's about facing it. Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid confronting their own soul." And he was right. It's easier to keep numbing yourself than to look inside. It's easier to ignore the suffering than to face it head on. But if you truly want to free yourself, if you truly want to take control of your life, there's no other way. Gabor Maté puts it bluntly, don't ask why the addiction, ask why the pain. That's the question you need to ask yourself. What are you trying to forget? What are you running from? What part of your story do you refuse to accept? The solution isn't in punishing yourself or forbidding yourself from indulging. The solution is in understanding yourself, treating yourself with compassion, and seeking support from those who truly understand you. Because even though you may feel alone, you're not. Here's the most important point. Healing isn't just an individual process, it's a collective one. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That's exactly what you must do. Stop running, stop hiding, look at yourself in the mirror and accept what you see, scars, mistakes, and all. Only when you stop fighting against yourself can you truly begin to change. So, tell me, are you ready to stop escaping? Are you ready to look inside and face what truly torments you? If the answer is yes, then you've taken the first step, because the real enemy was never the vice, it was the pain you tried to forget, and now, it's time to face it. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Once you understand that vice isn't the problem but the symptom, a question arises. If pain is the root, why do some people handle it differently? Why do some turn to addiction while others channel their suffering into something that drives them forward? The difference isn't in the amount of pain, it's in what you do with it. This brings us to another crucial concept, the integration of the shadow. Jung spoke of the shadow as the part of ourselves we reject, the impulses, desires, fears, and traumas we bury because they don't fit the image we want to project. But you can't destroy the shadow. You can ignore it, deny it, but it's still there, and the more you repress it, the more power it has over you. Every time you try to escape from something, you're giving it more control. Every time you convince yourself that something isn't part of you, that you can bury it and move on, you're feeding its strength. The same goes for addiction. You think that if you just eliminate the substance or habit, the problem will disappear. But that's a lie. The void is still there. The shadow is still there. Gabor Maté explains it brutally. There is no addiction without suffering, and there is no suffering without a story. To truly transform your life, it's not about fighting vice, it's about reconciling with what got you there in the first place. Many people fail because they seek superficial solutions. They want quick fixes, rules, and discipline, but they don't want to face themselves. They don't want to open that door and look at what's really inside, because it hurts, because it's uncomfortable, because it means accepting that what you've been carrying your whole life wasn't your fault, but now it's your responsibility. Here's another paradox. Suffering doesn't always destroy. It can trap you in a cycle of self-destruction, or it can ignite something bigger inside you. Think about the great artists, visionaries, and geniuses of history. Many of them didn't escape their pain, they used it. They turned it into art, projects, movements, and radical changes in their lives. What separates those who get lost in vice from those who turn it into something powerful isn't the absence of suffering, it's the ability to face it, integrate it, and give it a purpose. But here's the key, no one can do it alone. Addiction isn't an individual problem, it's a problem of connection. Maté says, the opposite of addiction isn't sobriety, it's connection. It's feeling understood, supported, and seen. It's knowing you don't have to carry it all alone. Jung said, healing happens when you stop identifying with your suffering and start understanding it, when you stop being a prisoner of your story and become the writer of your own narrative. So, the real question isn't how to quit the vice, it's how to transform the pain into something that helps you grow instead of destroying you. Are you brave enough to look in the mirror and see what's behind your addiction? To face that void without the filter of immediate pleasure? To stop escaping and start building? Because if you truly want to break free, you need to understand this. Vice isn't the enemy is continuing to run from what you need to face, and that confrontation, no matter how painful, is the first step to liberation. But here's something even more unsettling. What if vice isn't just a response to pain, but also a form of identity? Think about it. For years, maybe decades, you've built your life around this compulsion. It's become part of you, your routines, your way of coping, and now, even though you know it's destroying you, there's a part of you that doesn't want to let it go. Because if you do, what's left of you? This ties into Jung's idea of the fear of emptiness. Humans can't endure existential emptiness. We need a narrative, a structure that defines us. And when vice has been part of your story for so long, ripping it out suddenly feels like tearing off your skin. That's why so many people relapse, not just because physical withdrawal is hard, but because psychological withdrawal is worse. Who are you without the vice? What fills that space? This is where many fail. They think it's about eliminating addiction, but what they really need is to replace it with something bigger, something that gives their life meaning. Gabor Maté studied this deeply, the need for belonging. Since childhood, we've sought to fit in, to be part of something bigger. But when we feel rejection, abandonment, or disconnection early in life, that need becomes an open wound. In adulthood, we try to fill that gap with anything that gives us a sense of identity. For some, it's creativity, purpose, or connection. For others, it's vice. Because even though vice destroys, it also gives something in return, a structure, a refuge, a way to cope. Here's where many go wrong. It's not enough to say, I'll stop. You need to find something stronger to take its place. Something that isn't just a distraction, but a true reconstruction of your identity. And that brings us to a brutal question. What do you really want? Not what others expect from you, but what truly moves you. Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are. But to do that, you have to let go of the broken version of yourself you've clung to. You have to let the identity that vice gave you die so that something new can be born. This is scary because emptiness is terrifying. But here's the paradox. Emptiness isn't the enemy. It's the space where everything is reborn. Recovery isn't just about quitting a bad habit. It's about destruction and creation. It's about demolishing what you were to build something you've never been before. That's why those who succeed in breaking free from addiction aren't the same people they were before. It's not about going back. It's about evolving. Here's another key concept, the reframing of pain. Pain never disappears, but its meaning can change. The same wounds that today you use as an excuse to keep sinking could tomorrow drive you to build something extraordinary. The difference is in how you decide to see them. Jung said, "Until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." That means as long as you see yourself as a victim of your story, you'll continue to act as if you have no choice. But when you take control, when you decide that your pain doesn't define you but shapes you, something changes. Vice stops being a prison and becomes a choice, and in that moment, for the first time in a long time, you're truly free. But here's the question that changes everything. Are you willing to let go of what destroys you to embrace the unknown? Because that's what's most terrifying. It's not just about leaving behind a habit or addiction. It's about leaving behind a part of yourself. The part you've used as a crutch, an excuse, a refuge. And when you let it go, you'll face something you've never faced before. The possibility of being someone new. The possibility of not being the broken person you thought you were. The possibility of being the master of yourself. But here's the most brutal truth. Many never take that leap. They prefer to stay trapped in the cycle because even though it hurts, it's familiar. But some do. Some decide their story doesn't end in suffering. Some understand that what they were doesn't define what they can become. And those few are the ones who truly rebirth. So now, the question is for you. Who do you decide to be? Because vice, suffering, and pain aren't the end of the story. They're just the turning point. What you do after that is what truly matters. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "I am the master of myself," because that means you're ready to take control.